most people on tech Twitter don't understand how content works. Most of these people are really boring engineers who are just commenting on, oh, the new AI model is 10 parameters bigger than, and it's very fucking boring. They're boring. When I launched my second software company, Cluely, I spent every single dollar I had made from my first company, Interview Coder, about $140,000 on a cinematic, nice launch video that I uploaded on Twitter, and that video ended up returning me millions of dollars. At the time, a lot of people thought I was crazy. In fact, everyone in my life thought I was crazy, but I knew that this was going to work. In this video, I will share the exact decision framework that was in my mind when I decided to make that bet, and why actually, to me, if you were in my shoes, you would realize this is not actually that crazy of a bet, and it is something that is not actually that risky. To preface, let me tell you a little bit about my first company, Interview Coder. Interview Coder was a tool that I built as a sophomore at Columbia that essentially lets you cheat on a very specific type of programming riddle interview called a LeetCode interview. I marketed the tool by forcing Amazon to blacklist me and Columbia to kick me out of the school by recording myself using it on a live Amazon interview and actually getting the internship offer and posting proof. This went super viral on Twitter, and at one point was the top Twitter trending post of the day. Honestly, looking back, I think everybody can acknowledge it is inevitable that this would happen. There has never in human history been the case that someone intentionally got kicked out of an Ivy League school for the sake of marketing their startup. That's never ever happened before. And it would be almost impossible for news outlets, at the very least, to not report on the fact that this had happened, and for all the people, the tech reporters that exist in the world, to not comment at least on the fact that this, at the very least, at the very minimal scale of impact, shows that there is a significant flaw in the interview process. So I knew someone was going to report on it because this is an event of, like a certain type of magnitude, just something that had never been done before. And I had a very strong intuition that was proven correct that this would go viral. And now going into the launch of my second company, Cluely, which I actually launched literally 2.5 months after I made my first dollar from that first company, Interview Coder. Here's exactly what I'm thinking as I launch this first company, or think about launching the first company. First, I'm realizing my goal is to build something much bigger than Interview Coder. It's to build hopefully a generational software company. I don't actually care about making that much money right now. I care a lot more about making a lot of money and putting my name out there. Second, I realized that, wow, making gigantic spectacles of things and doing something that other people have not done before actually almost very often, if not always, returns you just massively outsized outcomes. The third, I realized most people on tech Twitter, or Twitter in general, just don't understand how content works or how to make good content at all. Most of these people are really boring engineers who are just commenting on, oh, the new AI model is 10 parameters bigger than this old AI model. Extreme news. And it's very fucking boring. They're boring. That's what I'm realizing going into this. So for Cluely, of course, the next thing I'm thinking is, how can I create another spectacle that is the size of me getting kicked out of Columbia? And the decision I come to is a launch video. At the time, there's no real startup doing launch videos except for one that did one exactly like almost a full year before I did my launch video. The startup was called friend.com, and they did a launch video that did something like 20-30 million views, launching their AI companion on a pendant necklace. I think it was a little early for its time, but it's undeniable that it made a gigantic impact on the world of startups and software, and I think everyone in the startup scene knows who Avi Schiffman and knows what friend.com is. At the very least, they did at the time of me thinking about it. So of course, the last time I thought about who is the last person who made a real spectacle in the startup scene, immediately my mind went to friend.com. And I remember thinking, why did nobody else drop a video like this? I mean, this was the biggest thing ever. This was probably like the most viewed startup video of the year. Why did no other startup ever try and copy the strategy? So I said, you know what, let me try and figure out the producers of the show, of the video. They were a little bit expensive, but they introduced me to a cheaper studio that could do videos of a similar quality. So I went to them, and I knew that I wanted to do an expensive video. So I put every dollar I had into making that video, because again, my driving North Star here is, how can I make a spectacle? Because I know that spectacles will work. As far as the content of the video, I knew that, funny content actually does very well in tech Twitter. The concept of seeing like one of the fucking Charlie Kirk memes on Instagram Reels is so foreign to them. They're so far removed from that level of brain rot that I knew if I just threw in some sort of comedy skit that they're gonna laugh and enjoy it. So I went to my favorite comedy skit creator, a guy by the name of Remy Z on Instagram. I took one of his funniest videos that I liked, and I essentially copied it shot for shot, scene for scene, dialogue for dialogue almost, and I made that, but in an extremely cinematic way, with $140,000 of AV and camera equipment. And I later hired the guy, by the way. He currently works with us, making content. And the video is essentially a scene of some guy who uses the AI tool to try and talk to a girl on a date, but ends up failing because he has like a League of Legends or an anime convention that he has to go to. And he ends up just like ignoring the date because like he has to go to this anime convention. And you know what? Almost nobody in the comments even caught the fact that I copied this guy's scene word for word. Even after I hired him and ended up having him on the team, nobody even realized that, oh, this is the video. This is the launch video that I saw. And it just goes to show that one, spectacles generally work. If you do something that nobody's done before, you don't have to worry so much about hooks, retention, whatever. If you have a story, an interesting story, then that story is enough to go viral, usually. Second, content can be copied. In fact, like the best content is usually copied or stolen in some way or form. And rather than spending so much time worrying, stressing, thinking about your unique angle and your unique content strategy, you should almost try to always just copy the things that work. Because even for someone like me, I copy all the time. My most viral video was one that was literally just copied. And after that, and after we did our video, there were many people who came and copied our video, or at least some variant of the cinematic launch video. And there's a whole era in Silicon Valley of the post-Cluely cinematic launch video era of everyone just copying our videos. And a lot of them did do well. A lot of them helped kickstart these startups. And the final takeaway here, which is sort of more abstract takeaway, if you're under 25, trust your gut. You're probably a lot funnier than you think you are, because most people over the age of 25, these millennial motherfuckers, are still using the crying laughing emoji unironically. And even if you might not be the funniest person in your friend group, you're probably a lot funnier than them. And you probably have a much better sense of the things that will do well. Exactly 1 year ago, I never even knew what it was like to go viral. I had no idea how any of this shit worked. I just considered myself some random student who was just some random CS student who was just gonna program. And now I feel like I understand it a lot better than the average person. And the only thing that has changed really is that I realize most people don't know how to make good content. Most people don't even know what a shitty video looks like. And everyone you think is impressive or strong or great or very intelligent at making content is probably a lot stupider than you think. And really the only thing that changed is that I realized that 99% of people in this world are so incompetent and not capable of making good content that your competition is actually just pretty much none. So if you are under the age of 25, you are probably way closer to this. Even if you've never made a video before, you're probably way closer to being like Mr. Beast than a 40-year-old will ever be, even if that 40-year-old is head of marketing at some random Fortune 50 company. Nobody over the age of 28 knows what a funny video looks like. I promise you this. Maybe like 4 of them do. And that's pretty much it. On my end, it was actually a very rational, calculated decision that came from me observing my cards, me realizing I've learned the lesson that spectacles work. I know what the next spectacle could be. I have the money to pull it off, and I don't think anybody else will do this. And everyone else is not funny on tech Twitter. So 100% is going to work on tech Twitter. And I came in here with a very strong conviction. Not only is this the thing that I want to do, but it's a thing that makes sense for me to do. There's so many other takeaways you could take away from this particular decision framework. Things like, double down on the things that you're good at. Don't listen to people when they tell you not to do things. But generally, I just wanted to put out the story of how I actually came to spending the $140,000 on my launch video. Because I do think that it was a very memorable and very bold thing, seemingly bold thing that I tried to do. Hoping this decision framework helps some of y'all make some better, more risky decisions that actually might not be so risky. So go out there, keep swinging. Your first 8 startups might fail, but your 9th might make you a millionaire. So go forth and conquer. I will see you next week.